Uni, don't go. You promised we would go together. Twin sisters, 22 years old, both fighter pilots. On a pitch-black dawn, we take off in our jets and risk everything to escape. They are on our tail. North Korean fighters are chasing us. Bullets cut through the air. Warning alarms scream in our cockpits. 1 minute to the border. But in that final minute, something impossible happens. My sister's jet suddenly turns back to the north, just 1 minute away from freedom. Why did my sister turn back alone? Back into the dictatorship we were running from. The shocking truth was revealed 3 years later.
If you subscribe for free and leave a like, it greatly helps raise international awareness about the harsh realities faced by the people of North Korea. And please let us know where you are watching from in the comments.
Now, my sister Soo-yeon's voice exploded through the radio. I took a deep breath. My hands were shaking. I gripped the control stick as hard as I could. I started the engine. The roar of the jet sliced through the cold dawn air. On the other runway, my sister's jet engine started too. The sound of the two fighters blended into one, echoing through the darkness. I will never forget that night. It was a night without a moon, darker than ink. I was standing at the end of the runway, staring only at the dim lights on the instrument panel, and my heart felt like it would burst. We were 22 years old, born on the same day. That night, for the first time, we were betting our entire lives on one decision. Mi-yeon. My sister called me on the radio. Yeah. You scared? Yeah. Me too. Her voice was lower than usual, but steady. Hearing that actually calmed me. Knowing that she was trembling just like me, somehow that comforted me. We are still going, right? Of course. As long as I am with you. Good. We go together. Together. We had always been together. I believed we always would be. The plan was simple. Take off at the same time. Turn south at the same time. Officially, it was supposed to be a routine training flight. We would climb as usual, then at 4:30 inches the morning, when radar surveillance was a little looser, we would dive low, follow the mountains, and cross the border into South Korea. We had prepared for this moment for 3 months. We calculated fuel down to the last drop. We checked the weather for weeks. We memorized the flight path until we could see it with our eyes closed. The path to the south meant flying low through mountains and valleys, almost hugging the ground so the military radar could not clearly see us as separate targets. It was extremely dangerous. We had to fly under 100 meters, barely 300 feet above the ground. One mistake, and we would crash into a mountain. But there was no other way. If we showed clearly on radar, it would be over. When the sky opens up, do not stop. My sister used our private code. It was a promise only between us. Yeah. I will not stop, I answered. The runway lights began to go out, one by one. 1, 2, 3. Darkness covered the concrete. That was the signal. Captain Kim, the maintenance officer, was helping us. He was in his mid-50s, a quiet man. He had always been kind to us. He was responsible for our aircraft. One day, he called us aside. You two are planning something, aren't you? My heart stopped. I thought we were caught, but he smiled faintly. Do not worry. I used to dream of the same thing. I just never had the courage. Then he said, I will help you. Be careful. If you make it to the south alive, remember that I existed. We bowed our heads. We could not even speak. Without him, this escape would never have been possible. The runway was now completely dark. This was the beginning. I put my hand on the throttle. My palm was wet. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it over the engine. Mi-yeon, you ready? Yeah. Then we go. 3, 2, 1. I pushed the throttle forward. The jet began to move. Slowly at first, then faster and faster. The wheels rumbled over the runway, the whole plane shaking. The white lines on the concrete blurred as they rushed past. Faster, faster, faster. The airspeed indicator climbed. 50, 100, 140, 160. My ears rang. The engine screamed behind me. My heart beat even faster. I pulled back on the stick. The nose lifted. The front of the aircraft pointed up toward the sky. My body was pressed into the seat. The wheels left the ground. I was flying, up into the sky, into the darkness. I will never forget that moment. The feeling of the earth falling away. The feeling of slipping out of gravity's grip. The first taste of freedom. Next to me, my sister's jet climbed too. Two small lights rose side by side into the black sky. Mion. Yeah, we are flying. We are really flying. I laughed. Tears ran down my face. I did not know if it was joy or terror. I only knew I could not stop crying. Stay close, she said. Yeah. I eased my fighter closer to hers. Our wingtips were less than 10 meters apart. It was dangerously close, but that was our trick. On the radar, two jets that close together could look like a single aircraft. That was part of the plan. Altitude 100 meters. Got it. We dropped lower, lower, and lower. A mountain ridge appeared ahead of us, a black wall rising out of the night. I pulled the stick gently, and we cleared it by what felt like inches. The tops of the trees looked close enough to touch. My heart hammered in my chest. If we went just a little lower, we would hit the trees. The cold pre-dawn wind shook the plane. I squeezed the control stick tighter. My hands were soaked in sweat. Mion, you okay? Yeah, I am okay. I was not okay. I was terrified, but I could not say that. My sister was probably just as scared. I did not want to add more weight to her shoulders. 30 minutes to the border, she said. Okay, just 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, we could be free. We could start a new life, in a country where the government does not own your soul. I checked the instruments. Fuel gauge, plenty. Speed, good. Compass. Heading south-southeast, 185 degrees. We were on course. Mion. Yeah. Let us arrive together. Okay. Of course. I glanced at my sister's plane. Her light stayed steady beside me, cutting through the darkness. We had taken off together. We were heading south together. We had always been together. I believed tonight would be the same, and tomorrow and the day after, our two jets flew side by side through the night, low and winding through the mountains and valleys to avoid the radar of the regime we were fleeing. The wind picked up, pushing the plane left and right. I fought the controls, keeping us level. My sister's fighter shook too, but she regained control quickly. We kept going south. Our two lights cut through the darkness, steady and unwavering. It was our first flight toward freedom. Then the radio cracked to life. Aircraft 119. Respond. Aircraft 119. It was the control tower. My heart dropped. Aircraft 120. Respond. They had noticed. Faster than we expected. What do we do? I asked. Ignore them. Keep going. Her voice was firm. I switched the radio off. With a small click, the voice from the tower disappeared. I knew she did the same. There was no turning back now. We could only go forward. When the sky opens, do not stop, she reminded me. Yeah, I will not stop, I answered. We kept flying south, following the mountains, weaving through the valleys. 25 minutes to the border, she said. I nodded, even though she could not see it. Just a little more. The dark shapes of mountains flowed past beneath us. I watched the instruments, keeping the altitude at exactly 100 meters. Mion. Yeah, we have come a long way. Her voice was softer now. Maybe some of the tension was easing. Yeah, we really have. But the road to this moment had not been easy. 3 months earlier, the night my sister first whispered the word escape, everything had begun. We were 22. We had been born on the same day. She came out 3 minutes before me. Our mother died 3 days after giving birth to us, from complications. Our father raised us alone. It must have been so hard, raising twin daughters in a poor, tightly controlled country. But he always smiled at us. He always told us he loved us. Suyeon, Miyeon, you two are my whole world. That is what he always said. When we were 5, they came for him. One night, men in black clothes entered our home. They dragged our father away. Dad. We screamed and clung to him, but they took him anyway. It is okay. I will be back soon. Those were his last words. He never returned. We never heard anything again. We were sent to a state orphanage for children of so-called traitors. We ate, slept, and studied there with other kids, but we were always lonely. We had no mother, no father. All we had was each other. My sister and I did everything together. We ate together, slept in the same bed when we could, cried together, and laughed together. At night, when the wind howled outside and fear crawled into our small beds, she held my hand. Mion, don't be afraid. I am here. Okay. That was how we survived, holding on to each other. When we turned 15, all the kids at the orphanage took an aptitude test. The regime used these tests to decide what they would use us for. We were put into a pilot aptitude group. They tested our reflexes, our sense of space, our judgment. The results came back. Choi Soo-yeon, Choi Mi-yeon, both approved. We were sent to the Air Force Academy. At first, it was brutal. We woke up at 5 every morning, endless running, physical training, political education, flight theory, simulation exercises. Every day was exhausting. But once we actually started flying, everything changed. I remember the first time I sat in a real aircraft. I was 16. The instructor sat in the back seat. I was in front, my hands on the controls. We are taking off, he said. The plane thundered down the runway, faster and faster, then the wheels left the ground. We rose into the sky. I cried. It was too beautiful. The world grew small beneath us. The clouds were close enough to touch. The sky was wide and endless. So this is the sky, I thought. My sister told me later she had cried too on her first flight. Mi-yeon, I never knew the sky was this wide. Me neither. Up here, it feels like we are free, she said. She was right. In the air, we felt free. On the ground, we were watched, controlled, and always suspected. In the sky, for a few minutes, it felt like those chains loosened. We studied hard. Flight theory, meteorology, navigation, aircraft systems, everything. We drilled in the simulator for hours and hours. By the time we were 20, we became full fighter pilots. People called us the twin sisters of the sky. State newspapers printed our photos. Twin sisters defending the motherland. We stood side by side in flight suits and helmets, trying to look proud. We appeared on television as propaganda models. We said, we will protect our country's sky with loyalty. But inside, we were thinking something else. Is this really the life we want? We felt like tools. Not people. We were symbols. Not daughters, not human beings with our own dreams. Then things got worse. The secret police began to summon us once a month. Comrade Choi Mi-yeon. Yes. What has your sister, Comrade Choi Soo-yeon, been saying lately? Nothing special. Has she done anything unusual during training? No. You are sure? Yes. I lied. Sometimes, after training flights, my sister would look up at the distant sky and whisper, I wonder what is beyond that horizon. I never reported that. I could not. She was my sister. I am sure she protected me in the same way. The regime wanted us to spy on each other, but we refused. We guarded each other instead. One night, my sister spoke in a low voice. Mi-yeon, yeah, are you really going to live like this for the rest of your life? I could not answer. In our system, that question itself was dangerous. If anyone overheard, it could mean prison or worse. I do not want this, she said. I cannot live like this. Always watched, always controlled, always distrusted. This is not a life. Her eyes were different that night, harder, more determined than I had ever seen. Then, let us escape, she said. The two of us. Together. My heart stopped. Escape. Just saying that word out loud was treason. If caught, we would be shot. Are you crazy? You really think that is possible? It is possible, she answered quietly. We are pilots. All we need is a plane. We already know how to fly. But there is radar. And interception fighters. And I have thought it through. She took my hand. It was warm. Mion, I cannot go alone. I need you. We have always done everything together. Let us do this together, too. I looked at her face. Identical to mine. Same eyes, same features, but inside them, I saw a resolve I had never seen. Okay, I nodded. Let us go together. From that night, for 3 months, we prepared. Carefully, slowly, and now, tonight, we were in the air. Mion. Her voice pulled me back to the cockpit. Yeah, 20 minutes to the border. Okay. The darkness still pressed around us. But in the far east, the sky was beginning to turn the faintest shade of blue. Dawn was coming. A new day was coming. And maybe a new life for us. The day before, our instructor had said, Choi Soo-yeon, Choi Mi-yeon. Tomorrow dawn, training flight. I glanced at my sister. She looked at me. The day had finally come. Yes, understood, we answered, careful to keep our voices steady. Departure at 5 a.m. You will train over the northern practice area. Yes, total flight, 1 hour. Then write your reports. Understood. He looked at us. There was no suspicion in his eyes, only routine. Weather is good. Light winds. A perfect day for training. Yes. When he left and the door closed, only the two of us remained in the room. Silence hung in the air for a moment. My sister reached for my hand. It was trembling. Mion. Yeah, tomorrow is the day. Yeah. I took a deep breath. We had prepared for 3 months. But now that tomorrow was real, fear surged up inside me. Are you okay? She asked. Yeah, I am okay. If you are too scared, tell me. We do not have to do this. I can go alone. No. I cut her off. I am going too. With you. We promised. She smiled, eyes glistening. She swallowed her tears and pulled me into a hug. Thank you, Mion. Let us succeed. Yeah, that night felt endless. I lay in bed but could not sleep. I closed my eyes, opened them, and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, we leave this place. My heart raced with that thought. Fear and excitement twisted together inside me. Memories flashed by. The orphanage, the academy, the first time I flew above the clouds. All of it had been hard, but not all of it was bad. Still, we had never been free. We were always watched, controlled, and suspected. That is not a real life. From tomorrow on, things will be different. I told myself, I will be free. I heard movement from the next bed. My sister was tossing and turning too. Mion. Yeah. You are not sleeping. No, I cannot. Me neither. She got up and came over to my bed. Just like when we were children in the orphanage, on nights when fear was too big for one small heart. She lay beside me and held my hand. You scared. Yeah, I answered honestly. Me too, she said. But we can do this. We have done everything together so far. Yeah, we will do this together too, all the way to the end. I nodded. Her hand was warm, and that warmth calmed me. Sister, yeah, let us promise we arrive together. Of course, we take off together, we land together. We will not be separated. We lay there for a long time, just holding hands in silence. Eventually, the window began to pale. Dawn was nearing. Mion, we have to get up. Okay. It was 3 a.m. We got up, washed, and put on our flight suits. They were heavy, but familiar. We had worn them for years. We zipped them up, tightened our belts, pulled on our gloves. We looked in the mirror. 2 identical figures in the same uniform stared back. You ready? Yeah. We left the room. The hallway was quiet. Everyone else was asleep. Only our footsteps echoed on the floor. Outside, the air was knife cold. Every breath left a cloud. The sky was still black. We walked toward the runway. Far ahead, two jets were parked side by side. Our planes. As we approached, we saw Captain Kim standing beside them. "You are here." "Yes." He looked at us and nodded. "I checked everything. Fuel tanks are full. Engines are in perfect condition. Thank you. All your instruments and radios have been tested. Everything is ready. Be careful," he said quietly, "and live. Whatever happens, live." "Captain, it is okay. I will be fine." He smiled sadly. "At least one of us should live free. Someone has to." Tears filled my eyes. I could not hold them back. "Thank you. I will never forget you." "You can forget me. Just live a happy life." He patted our shoulders. "Go now. You do not have much time." We climbed the ladders and lowered ourselves into the cockpits, our familiar seats. I looked at the instruments in front of me. Switches, buttons, gauges. Everything was in its place. I fastened my harness, pulling it tight. I put on my helmet and switched on the radio. "Mion." Her voice came through my headset. "Yeah, this is it." "Yeah." I took deep breaths, in and out, trying to calm my racing heart. My hands still shook as I wrapped them around the stick. The metal felt icy. I checked my watch. 4:15 a.m. Official takeoff time was 5 a.m., but we planned to leave at 4:30, 30 minutes earlier. Those 30 minutes were our only window. We had to get as far as possible before the tower fully noticed something was wrong. "Mion, you remember the route, right?" "Yeah. South-southeast, 185 degrees. Follow the mountains. Fly low. Altitude, 100 meters. Time, 30 minutes to the border." "Good. Stay glued to my wing. 10 meters between our wingtips." "Okay. Do not fall away. Wherever I go, you follow." "Got it." Time crawled. 1 minute. 2, 3, 4:20 a.m. Outside, the sky was still dark, but the faintest light brushed the horizon. 4:25. Captain Kim raised his hand in the distance. Then the runway lights began to go out, one by one. 1, 2, 3. Darkness. 4:28. I checked the instruments one last time. Fuel, full. All systems normal. 4:29. "Mion." "Yeah, I love you." Tears sprang to my eyes. "I love you too. So much. We are going to arrive together." "Yeah, together." 4:30. The second hand hit 12. "Now," my sister shouted. I hit the start button. The engine roared awake, shaking the aircraft. The runway lay in complete darkness now. This was it. Our escape. Operation Blue Line. I placed my hand on the throttle and inhaled deeply. "When the sky opens, do not stop." Her voice came through the headset. "Yeah, I will not stop. Never." I pushed the throttle forward. The jet rolled down the runway. Slowly at first, then faster. The wheels rattled over the concrete. The speed gauge began to climb. 50, 70, 90. I kept my eyes straight ahead, following only the faint white line of the runway in the dark. 100, 120, 140. The engine's roar grew louder. My ears rang. My heart crashed against my ribs. 160. I pulled back on the stick. The nose rose. The plane tilted upward. My body was pressed back into the seat. The wheels lifted off the ground. I was flying. Next to me, my sister's fighter climbed too. Two lights rose together into the night. "Mion." "Yeah, stay close." I turned toward my sister's plane, closing the distance between us until our wingtips were only 10 meters apart. "Drop altitude," she ordered. I pushed the stick forward. We began to descend. I watched the altimeter. 500 meters, 400, 300, 200, 150, 100. "Hold it here." "Got it." We leveled off at 100 meters, skimming above the ground. Below us, mountains and trees slid by, close enough to feel like we could reach down and touch them. Heading south-southeast. She called. "Yeah." I checked the compass. 185 degrees. Exactly south. Our two fighters flew side by side, hugging the curves of the mountains. The cold wind buffeted the aircraft. I gripped the stick tighter. A ridge loomed ahead. Mountain. I see it. Pulling up. We climbed just enough to clear the peak, treetops whipping past beneath us. Then we dropped back down into the valley, diving into the darkness again. My heart raced so hard my chest hurt. My hands were slick with sweat. Mion? You okay? Yeah, I am okay. I was lying. We were flying so low that the smallest mistake could kill us. But we could not stop. 25 minutes to the border. She shouted. 25 minutes. We only had to survive 25 more minutes. Then it happened. The radio cracked. Aircraft 119, respond. Aircraft 119. The control tower. My heart dropped like a stone. Aircraft 120, respond. Respond immediately. They had realized already. Much faster than we had hoped. What do we do? Ignore them. Keep going, she said. Aircraft 119 and 120, return to base immediately. This is an order. The voice grew sharper, more urgent. I switched the radio off. With a click, the voice vanished. Good. Keep going. There was no going back now. We kept flying south, weaving through the mountains. 20 minutes to the border. Time kept moving, minute by minute. The eastern sky began to turn from black to deep blue. The sun will rise soon, she said. It is okay. We just need 20 more minutes, I answered. If we crossed before sunrise, we would be harder to see. Then I heard it. A different sound behind us, sharper than our own engines. I glanced back. 2 lights, growing larger. Sister, I shouted. I see them? She had already noticed. Fighters. 2 interceptors were racing toward us. Fast. Increase speed, she yelled. I slammed the throttle forward. The engine screamed. The speed gauge pushed into the red zone. Beep, beep, beep. Radar warning alarms started shrieking. They were locking onto us. Mion, listen carefully. Her voice was urgent. From now on, fly in a zigzag. Never in a straight line. Got it. Got it. I yanked the stick left. The plane banked hard. My body was crushed against the harness. Then I snapped it right. The aircraft rolled the other way. Behind us, a flash of light. Bang, bang. Gunfire. Warning shots. Stop at once. Return to base now. A voice boomed through a loudspeaker, loud enough to cut through our cockpit glass. Aircraft 119 and 120, this is your last warning. Return to base immediately. We did not stop. We could not. We kept flying south, zigzagging hard. 15 minutes to the border, she shouted. Just 15 minutes. We were so close. The enemy fighters drew nearer. Their engines howled in our ears. Beep, 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 beep. The warning alarm screamed faster. Mion. Lower, lower. Yeah, down to 50 meters. I pushed the stick forward. We dropped sharply. The altimeter spun down. 100, 70, 50. Trees rushed up under us. Branches seemed close enough to scrape our belly. Hold it here. We skimmed along the mountain slopes, dangerously low and incredibly fast. The enemy fighters could not follow us that low. It was too risky for them. Good. Stay like this, she said. We flew like birds dodging through branches. Left, right, up a little, down again. My heart felt like it might explode. My arms and hands were numb, but I kept going. 10 minutes to the border. Now we were truly close. Ahead, the darkness looked different. A stretch of land with no lights at all. A dead, black line. That was the border. Sister, there, I see it. That is the border. Tears filled my eyes again. I did not know if it was joy or desperation. Just a little more. Just a little, she shouted. We pushed our speed even higher. Behind us, gunfire roared again. Bang, bang, bang. No more warning shots. They were shooting to kill. Evasive. I twisted the stick left and right, making violent turns. The bullets missed us by thin margins. 5 minutes to the border. 5 minutes. 300 seconds. The dark line of the border came closer and sharper. Mion! We are almost there! Yeah. I narrowed my eyes and focused only on that invisible line. Once we crossed it, their rules would change. 2 minutes. 1 minute. We were seconds away. And then it happened. From my sister's aircraft, I heard a new alarm. Beep, 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 beep. Fast, high-pitched, urgent. Sister, I shouted. I looked at her jet. Something was wrong. Her plane shook. Sister, are you okay? Silence. Sister, I called again. Then her fighter started to turn. To the right, not south. Right. What are you doing? What is happening? I screamed. Her aircraft kept turning. More and more. Then, it pointed north, back the way we had come. Sister, I cried out. Sister, why? Why are you doing this? The radio stayed silent. Her jet grew smaller as it sped away, back toward the land we were escaping. Sister, come back. We promised we would go together, I shouted, sobbing. But her fighter did not slow. It flew straight north. The enemy fighters peeled away from me and chased her instead. I was suddenly alone. Sister, I clutched the stick so hard my fingers hurt. Tears poured down my face. Should I turn back? Should I follow her? But the border was right in front of me. Less than a minute away. When the sky opens, do not stop. Her last words echoed in my mind. I will not stop. My own answer came back to me. I looked ahead, at the line, and I kept flying. South. Alone. I crossed the border. I kept going south, tears streaming down my face. When I looked back, my sister's light was shrinking into the distance, swallowed by the northern sky. Sister? I whispered. Why did you go back? Why did you leave me alone? We promised we would go together. I felt betrayed. Abandoned in the very sky where we had dreamed of freedom. The enemy fighters followed her north. None came after me. I had already crossed into South Korean airspace. I was completely alone. There was only my aircraft in the sky. No sister beside me. Mion, you okay? Her old question echoed in my memory. Yeah, I am okay. My usual answer. But now, I was not okay at all. My jet kept flying south. My hands were on the controls, but my mind was empty. I could not think. The sun rose. The eastern sky turned red. The clouds glowed gold. It was a beautiful dawn. But to me, it meant nothing. Because my sister was not there. I do not know how long I flew. Maybe 10 more minutes. Then a new voice crackled in my headset. Unknown aircraft. Respond. This is the Air Force of the Republic of Korea, the Free South. The accent was different. Southern. I turned the radio back on, my voice shaking. Unknown aircraft. Identify yourself. Repeat. Identify yourself. I am from the north. I have defected. Roger. Follow our instructions and prepare to land. We will guide you to the nearest airbase. 2 fighters appeared beside me. 1 on each wing. They flew close, not as hunters, but as escorts. Follow us, they said. I followed, still in a daze. Soon, a large airbase appeared below, with a long runway stretching across the ground. Permission to land. Descend slowly. They guided me down. I lowered my altitude, watching the runway grow larger. The wheels touched the ground. The plane rattled and slowed. We stopped. I had arrived. In the south, in a free country, but I was alone. I shut down the engine. The deafening roar died. Silence filled the cockpit. I unfastened the harness and removed my helmet. Soldiers approached. Weapons drawn but pointed down. Step out. Slowly. I climbed down the ladder, my legs barely holding me. My feet touched the ground. South Korean soil. Free soil. But I felt no joy. Identify yourself, a soldier asked. I am Choi Mion, 22 years old, former fighter pilot of the North Korean Air Force. Did you come alone? No, I answered. I took off with my twin sister. But she turned back. She turned back. Yes, right before the border. She suddenly turned around and went north. The soldiers glanced at each other, confusion in their eyes. Why would she turn back? I do not know. I shook my head. I really do not know. We promised to go together. I broke down and cried, collapsing to the ground. Why did she leave me alone? Why? They helped me up and took me into a building. I was questioned for hours. When did you depart? At 4:30 a.m. From where? From an air base in the north. Flight path. South-southeast. Following the mountains at low altitude. Intercepting fighters. 2. They chased us. But when my sister turned back, they followed her and left me. The questions went on and on. I answered everything. The escape plan. The route. The fact that my sister returned. Why do you think she turned back? I do not know. I lowered my head. I really do not know. We promised to go together. When the interrogation ended, they led me to a small room with a bed and a desk. Rest here. If you need anything, ask. They left me alone. I sat on the bed and stared out the window. The sun was high. The sky was clear and blue. Is my sister looking at the same sky? I wondered. No. She must be under the northern sky, beyond that invisible line. Tears came again. Sister, why did you do it? Why did you leave me alone? There was no answer. That was the beginning of my new life. My life in South Korea. People called me the Defector fighter pilot. Newspapers ran stories. Television invited me. Headlines said, twin pilot sisters divided. One in the north, one in the south. People were curious. Why did the sister turn back? Why did only one escape? I was curious too. Every day, every moment. But there were no answers. Adjusting to life in the South was hard. Everything was different. Language, culture, the way people thought. I was free, but I was lonely, because my sister was not with me. At night, I had the same dream again and again. We were flying side by side, 2 jets in the same sky, just like that night. But even in my dreams, she always turned back, and I was left alone, heading south. I woke up crying. Sister! I would call her name again and again, but she was never there. Flight schools invited me to lecture. They wanted me to talk about my experience as a pilot and a defector. I refused. I am sorry. I cannot yet. Any time I saw an aircraft, I thought of her. I remembered that night. I remembered the moment she turned back. I could not hold a control stick. My hands shook too much. I am alive, but I do not feel alive. That thought haunted me. 1 year passed, then 2, then 3. I was still in the South. I had learned how to live there. I had a small apartment and a modest job, but there was always an empty space inside me. Because my sister was not there. Sister, where are you now? Are you even alive? Do you blame me? I had so many questions, but there was no way to know. So I simply lived, one day at a time. Without her, sometimes, people asked me, Mian, are you okay? Yeah, I am okay. I always answered the same way. It was a lie. When I looked out the window, I saw the wide blue sky. Is she looking at this same sky? The sky where we once flew together. Tears would fill my eyes again. 3 years passed. I still lived alone in my small apartment. I worked like any ordinary person. I did not fly. I could not. The sight of an aircraft dragged me back to that night, to the moment her jet turned away. I avoided looking at the sky. It hurt too much. Then, one day, an email arrived. An invitation to speak at an international aviation conference overseas. We would be honored if you could share your experience as a defector pilot. At first, I was going to say no, like always. But this time felt different. For some reason, I wanted to go. All right, I will come, I replied. A month later, I boarded a commercial flight. It was the first time in 3 years I had been in an aircraft. This time, as a passenger. I sat by the window. As the plane took off, I watched the ground fall away. Buildings shrank. We rose through the clouds. The sky opened up. Tears blurred my vision. Sister, we flew here together once. The passenger next to me asked, "Are you okay?" "Yes, I am okay." I wiped my tears. The conference hall was huge. People from aviation industries all over the world had gathered. I stood on stage and told my story. About the escape. About my sister. They listened in silence. Then someone asked, "Why do you think your sister turned back?" I was quiet for a long time. I do not know. 3 years have passed, and I still do not know. When I finished, they applauded. I stepped off the stage and walked down a corridor. Then a man called out, "Miss Choi Mi-yeon." I turned. A foreign man in his 40s was standing there. "Yes. Do you have a moment? There is something I was asked to give you." "What is it?" He took a small USB flash drive from his pocket. "Someone asked me to make sure this reached you." "Who?" "A person I met 3 years ago, near the border in China. She begged me to find you." My heart pounded. "Do you know who she was?" "I do not know her name. But she looked exactly like you." My hands began to shake. "Sister." I took the USB. It felt small and cold in my palm. "Thank you." I rushed back to my hotel room. I locked the door and opened my laptop. I plugged in the USB. There was one file, a video. I clicked it. The screen lit up. It was my sister. The same face, the same eyes, but thinner, more worn. Yet her gaze was still strong. She began to speak. "Mi-yeon." I burst into tears. "I hope you are the one watching this. It took 3 years to get this to you. I am sorry." She gave a small, tired smile. "You must have wondered why I turned back." That day, near the border, I picked up a clear tracking signal. We were locked on radar. She went on. "If we kept going like that, neither of us would have made it. The interceptors would have chased us both into the South's airspace." I stared at the screen, barely breathing. "So I thought, at least one of us has to live." Her voice trembled. "You had to live, Mi-yeon. If I turned back, the fighters would follow me. Then you would have a chance." "Sister," I sobbed. "I am sorry I did not tell you. But if I had, you would have refused to go. You would have insisted we stay together." She wiped her tears. "Then neither of us would have made it. And I could not stand that. I wanted at least you to live free, to fly again, to live the life we dreamed about." She looked straight into the camera. "Mi-yeon, please do not be sad because of me. I am okay." "Of course you are not okay." I cried at the screen. "You gained freedom. That is enough for me. Knowing my little sister lives free in the South, that makes me happy." The video shook, like someone was knocking or she had to move fast. "I do not have much time. I have to end this. No. Mi-yeon, I love you. I will love you for the rest of my life." She smiled, tears running down her cheeks. "And I have one favor to ask. Fly for me. Fly in my place. It was our dream, remember? To fly freely in the open sky." She held the camera steady one last time. "Live free. For both of us. Promise me." The video ended. The screen went black. I sat there and cried for a long time. Deep, shaking sobs. "Sister! Sister!" Everything became clear. She had not betrayed me. She had sacrificed herself to save me, to give me freedom. "I am sorry. I am so sorry I did not understand," I whispered through my tears. From that day on, I changed. I started flying again. I called a flight school. I would like to teach. I want to train young pilots. We would be honored. They said. I returned to the sky. The first time I took the controls again, my hands trembled. But this time, it was different. I started the engine. The aircraft rolled down the runway. I lifted the nose. The wheels left the ground. I was flying. "Sister, I am in the sky." I spoke in my heart. In our sky, I climbed through the clouds. The blue opened above me, vast and endless. I felt free. It was the freedom she had given me. Thank you, sister. I love you. I kept flying, for her share as well as mine. For our dream, the sky was wide. The clouds were bright. The wind was cool. I was free. Because of her, sister, I am happy. I am living free, I said softly. Wherever you are, I hope you have moments of happiness too. And if someday we meet again, let us fly together, in a sky no one can ever block. The plane climbed higher, cutting through the clouds, higher and freer. I smiled through my tears. Sister, we made a promise to fly together. We are flying together now. In this sky, I kept flying, with her, in my heart, forever. From the moment those runway lights went out on that dark morning, our fate was tied to the same sky. Even now, and for all the days to come, I still fly today. Every time I think of her, and I whisper, Sister, I am still flying, in the sky that belongs to both of us.